Welcome to episode 1 of Strangest Species. I'm your host, Mike Davis, here with my lovely wife, Ethne.
Davis.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. And this is the show where we talk about strange species, namely humans, and just the weird stuff that we get ourselves into all the time. Today's episode is on a Japanese comedian. I thought this would be a good one to start because you have some experience with
Japan.
Mm-hmm,
I do.
You live there. And this episode, or this story we're going to talk about today, is largely about a Japanese game show.
Okay.
Now give us a little bit of background, Ethne, on Japanese game shows from your experience. So you lived there for how long? A year plus?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
just over a year. They're so weird.
So you know a little bit about Japanese culture.
Mm-hmm.
So fill us in somewhat on, I mean, I'm not giving anything specific, but fill us in a little bit on Japanese game shows.
I mean, they're highly animated, super...
When you say animated, you don't mean like cartoons.
No, like they're over-exaggerated in all the things that they do. Their body language, their expressions, their voices. They do the weirdest things. And you really don't know what in the heck, I don't even, they're so weird.
They are weird.
That's the only thing I know I can say, really.
So I've never actually seen a real Japanese game show, but as a teenager, I loved MXC, which was a dubbed Japanese game show it was like the original Wipeout. Before Wipeout was a thing,
right?
They took MXC, which was these crazy over-the-top antics.
But it was basically a Japanese game show that they then voiced over with their own commentary.
It was a real Japanese game show.
That is the premise. They're so weird.
It was so weird, but so funny and so good.
Right.
So the show we're going to talk about today, and I don't speak Japanese, the game show was called Susume Denpai Shonen.
Okay.
Susume had an exclamation point after it, so I don't know. But Denpai Shonen was the show. It was a very, very, very popular Japanese game show. It only ran for about 5 years during like 1998 to maybe like 2002, 2003, right in there.
I lived there then.
Yeah, so maybe you watched, maybe you were part of this.
I might have.
And it was on for a couple years, and it was popular, but then it was a very traditional, I think, Japanese game show, and then they kind of shifted, and with this new plan that they wanted, they needed they needed one person to do this show. And so that is who we're talking about today. His name was Tomoaki Hamastu.
Okay.
Yeah. He was a aspiring comedian. And he thought that if he could get on one of these Japanese game shows, that would maybe be his big break into...
To then become a comedian.
Yeah. I mean, Think of it in my mind like, getting cast on SNL.
Okay.
All of a sudden you're on this huge... popular show, right, that it's going to springboard your career to,
wonderful
fame
heights
and fortune and all these things. So that's what he wanted. That's what he was looking for. So there wasn't an audition, or maybe there was, but it ended up being a raffle. And so if you watch the videos on him, it's a room with maybe 20 or 30 guys, and they hold this raffle on who's going to be in this show. And Tomoaki wins the raffle. And he's excited. He's ecstatic. He has no idea what's going to happen, but he's super pumped. And so the first thing they do after he wins is they blindfold him. They put him in a car. They drive him to some undisclosed location, which, again, for a Japanese game show, this is nothing. I mean, anything's in bounds, right? Like, this is nothing, strange to him. They get to this location, and it's this small little apartment. And the first thing the producers tell him to do is strip naked. And so, yeah, that's exactly what his face looked like. He was, like, oh, okay. So he strips down to his underwear, and they're like, no, like naked. And if you don't want to go through with it, that's fine. We'll redo the raffle. We'll get someone else to come in. And so he said, no, like, I'll do it. So he strips naked. And the producers on the show, they put an eggplant emoji over his
pee-pee.
His emoji.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, over his eggplant.
Yeah. Over his...
Yeah.
Got it.
And so he's naked. He's in this small little cramped apartment.
This is so weird.
It is. And this is where the game show, in quotations, begins. So before I explain what the show is, thoughts so far? You following along? You got the picture?
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just, again, the only thing that comes to my mind is weird because there's no other word.
This is true. So in this apartment is only two things. There are only two things. There's water. She's got a sink. And there is a giant stack or rack of magazines. And that's it. There's no food. There's no clothes. There's no furniture. There's no toilet paper. There's no entertainment. There's no computer. There's no TV. Just magazine racks.
Is this a true story?
This is a true story.
What's your source?
I've watched much of it.
Okay, all right.
You can YouTube it and find all sorts of things.
Okay, all right.
What he must do is he must fill out magazine sweepstakes. You know, those little cards inside the magazines?
Mm-hmm.
And he must win 1 million yen worth of prizes before he is allowed to get out of the apartment.
Where does he go to the bathroom?
He has a toilet.
Okay, and was he allowed to have a pen?
Apparently he had a pen.
Okay.
So
someone mailing them for him.
Yes. He is not allowed out.
But he can.
The producers will come in and take them. And so all day long, I mean, what do? I mean, you have nothing.
You look for every single sweepstake.
You just go through these sweepstakes and fill them out and send them in. But the catch is, the only things you have to live on are things you win from sweepstakes.
Okay. This seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah, it is a terrible idea.
Oh my gosh. How do they even get permission to do something like
Well,
this?
it's funny because in Japan, apparently you can. You know, none of these things work in other countries, but for some reason,
in Japan? Okay.
As far as their...
I'm dying.
Yeah. So a million yen is about $10,000.
Yep, that is.
So he sits on the floor, butt naked, and starts filling out sweepstakes.
Okay, perfect.
So how long do you think it would take you to win $10,000 in prizes?
Well, this is the thing. So it's obviously a different culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if he has no food and you're supposed to survive on the things you get from sweepstakes, I don't know about you, but I don't really know many sweepstakes that include like edible things. I could be very wrong though. I don't think I have enough magazine culture to know what my options are. I guess if I bought a garden, but then you'd have to grow it if they sent you seeds. I'm just trying to think of something that would actually give you food. Maybe like a baking magazine would give you food. I mean,
these are all great thoughts. Right.
This is so bizarre. But in my mind, the sweepstake things that are in these magazines are going to be very much like a 1-year subscription to more of this magazine, or I don't even know, maybe some cash money, you know. But how do they expect him to survive on any of the things he would get? That's culturally something I'm not familiar with. I'm not a big magazine reader. So.
I too don't read a lot of magazines, and I never have tried to win a sweepstakes from a magazine, so I don't know what kind of things are there. It does bring up an interesting question that we'll get to later, as far as how much of this all were the producers gaming the system,
like thinking he was gonna not do it.
Or being in control of what things he won and didn't win.
What was in the magazines,
right.
Maybe. Oh, interesting.
And
I guess that's a good question, yeah.
But how long do you think it would take you to win $10,000 worth of prizes? I'm not going to tell you the answer now. All you're doing all day long is either sitting and sleeping.
Right, but then you have to think of the postal time, and then however long a sweepstakes takes. I mean, it's not like instantly, right? So, I mean, I'm going to guess 6 months.
Okay.
I have no idea.
6 months. We'll see. Could you do it for 6 months?
No,
No,
not me.
me either.
But maybe
Let's
if
see
you're
if Tomoaki can.
okay.
So
Let's go Tomoaki.
the very first thing he wins, and this is kind of what makes me think that maybe it was rigged, maybe not,
It's
because
some sort of food.
he wins some food.
Yeah.
He wins 12 jars of fiber jelly.
What in the world is fiber jelly?
I was hoping you would know since you lived in Japan. I don't know what fiber jelly is.
I don't know if that's a Japanese thing.
I don't know if it's a thing at all. But that's what he won. He won 12 jars of fiber jelly.
That's so gross. I can't even imagine.
And he ate that. And he was pretty dang excited about it. I mean, 20 days without food. And then you get some fiber jelly, which I guess is edible. I assume it's
so
food.
disgusting.
But like you said, you're filling out these sweepstakes and he starts winning things, but they're totally random. Like they're not necessarily things that are useful to survive.
Right.
They're just things.
Yeah, that's
which
what
go towards your goal of
your
reaching
total
$10,000.
$10,000. Yeah.
But they don't help you any. For example, he won a globe.
Okay.
He won a folding bicycle, but he's not allowed to leave the apartment.
So you just ride it around in a
And
circle.
then for some mental things, that's great. You get, okay, at least you can like spin your globe around now and look at.
I guess that's true.
you know.
Like some sort of entertainment.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He won a set of tires at one point.
Okay, perfect.
And when he did win food items, it was often very small amounts. At one point, he won some Mandarin sake.
Oh, man. That's probably definitely not what you need on an empty stomach is
He
some
won
alcohol.
some egg sake.
Oh, this all sounds terrible.
He won natto.
Oh, I like natto. Natto's got a lot of protein in
Can you
it.
explain what natto is?
Fermented soybeans?
It's like a paste.
No, not like a paste,
No, it's like a
but
goo.
like it's like beans that have that gooey stuff, and you
It looks
usually
like a
mix. Yep, and you usually mix a raw egg, but it is really high in protein.
I'm sure it's got lots of nutrients.
I mean, if you're hungry,
I'm sure,
and
it's
a lot of
delicious
Japanese people love
when-
it.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
It's not,
it's not
awesome,
great.
right? But they love it. They really do.
I remember when we went to Japan, you were like, you must try natto.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is what it is.
He was probably very excited
I'm sure he
about
loved
that.
it. At one point, he won some salmon snacks. So he's getting some stuff. Obviously, not enough to have a real diet.
Well, to sustain, yes, vitamins and minerals. He's definitely not.
But he's alive.
Okay. This seems like. Does he end up dying?
He does not die.
Okay.
So, not to ruin the end of the story,
Sorry,
he is still alive to this day.
Oh, perfect.
But
Is he mentally
we'll get through all of that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm jumping
No,
ahead.
You're fine. So on day 20, he won. So his first win
It was the fiber jelly on day 20.
was that? Did I say day 20?
Yeah. mhm.
Oh, I might have lied. That was his first win. I don't know what day it was.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
On day 20, though, he did win a 5-kilogram bag of rice.
But I mean, how can he cook it?
Well, that's so. On
Did
the
he
video,
soak it in the water?
He was so excited. It's really heartbreaking because he's holding it above his head, this skinny naked man. He's so pumped until he realizes he has no rice cooker or no pot. So he must, if he wants
Then
to eat
sweepstake.
it, he's got to sweepstake and try to win
rice cooker.
a rice cooker or a pot or something along those lines. He has to win it first. And it's at this point you kind of start seeing the cruelty of the show, and two, kind of his madness kicking in and his ingenuity. He kind of becomes like a little MacGyver at first. Like he's very creative. So he takes one of his empty fiber jelly containers and he fills it with hot water. That's not boiling water, just hot water from the
Lets
tap.
his rice just.
Lets the rice sit overnight, but it totally doesn't do anything. So then he kind of comes up with an idea. Okay, what if I put hot water in the fiber jelly container? I put the rice in that and I hold it right next to my burner. So it's
he
kind
has
of like
a burner.
He does. Has like a hot plate, whatever's in the Japanese apartments little
okay.
kitchen
Mhm.
thing. Again, if you've never been to Japan, it's kind of, their apartments aren't necessarily like our apartments. Like everything's chisai.
Tiny.
Yeah, very small.
Chisai.
Everything's
Very
minimal, very minimized. It's like these cute little, I remember the first time I saw one, they're dishwashers. It's like
Tiny.
a microwave
Yeah.
for washing. Anyways, it was cute. It was fun. And this does kind of cook it into like a oatmeal.
You'd be crunchy still, though.
It
yeah.
would, but
I mean,
hey,
when you're hungry. Yep.
exactly.
Okay.
So he's eating that. But as time goes on, he will start going through these large stretches of having no food. At one point, he went 3 months without winning any food, and he finally wins dog food.
Oh, sick.
And he eats the dog food, and he does not enjoy the dog food, but
It's protein.
Yeah, he's happy to have something. So think about it. He's doing all this for the chance at becoming famous, right? To kickstart his career. But it's a pretty
cruel.
It is pretty cruel.
Yeah, it's cruel.
And so the show is insanely popular.
I don't understand.
Now he doesn't know what's
Happening. Obviously, he has no idea.
It begins airing Sunday nights. But it brings in about 17 million viewers a night, which is insane.
That is, I mean, Japan has a ton of people in their tiny little country. So I don't know if.
So we have
17 million
here in the States, 330, 340 million people.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight, the NBA finals just ended.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA finals on average will pull in like 12 or 13 million viewers.
Okay. Wow.
So
That's
on a weekly basis, I mean, it's nowhere near the Super Bowl, but it's more than the NBA or Major League Baseball
Right.
or Major League Hockey. That's not a thing. The NHL bring in for their finals. So I mean, it's a lot every week. So it's so popular that the the producers decided it wasn't good enough to do once a week. So they started a 24/7 live stream. It was like a real life Truman Show. But he didn't even know this was happening. So there's moments where he thinks, oh, I'm going to do some crazy, wacky thing. Like, oh, I got my rice. Yay. And he's crazy for the camera because he thinks, oh, they're going to pick and they're going to edit and they're going to select these certain things. But in reality, at any time, anyone could just
go watch.
And as he sits there naked.
I feel like he should be able to just have permission to disclose him at 24/7. Like, I feel like that is something that should not be okay without permission.
Yeah.
Would you not agree?
I would agree. Again,
I mean, like,
a lot of this thing.
What if he's doing other things?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. This is a good question.
Okay. All right.
And maybe he has signed some kind of release. I don't know. It definitely makes it seem like, though, that he was not aware. But you'll see as time goes on here, they're going to constantly be moving the goalposts on him without him knowing.
That seems
and so,
but.
yes, it does. But it was extremely popular. So after 6 months, you predicted 6 months, right?
I mean, I did predict 6 months.
So after 6 months, guess how many entries he had submitted?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Maybe 1,000.
38,000. Talk about
That's
cramps in your hands.
Insane.
38,000, 6 months, halfway to his goal.
Are you kidding me?
Not kidding you.
That's so terrible. This is like torture, human torture.
It is. It really is. And when you watch it, you can see that he literally is going insane.
Oh, this is terrible.
And they have a doctor come in at some point and take his vitals and say, "Yay, you're healthy." And
yeah, but mental health is not you can't look those up on vitals.
Exactly. Like he's healthy in the sense that he's not going to die right now from some, acute thing.
Right.
But he's definitely super malnourished, and mentally, yes, he is starting to lose it. I mean, remember, he has zero contact with the outside world other than the postman, the mailman who comes by,
brings the sweepstakes.
Right.
Okay.
And that's it.
Terrible.
Hasn't talked to his family, hasn't talked to anybody, hasn't gone outside, hasn't had fresh air in this and the apartment's like,
they are tiny.
It's like maybe, I'm not going to guess how big it is. It's small. And so this is where he's at after 6 months. And the producers are total a-holes. One night, in the middle of the night, which will come to kind of be their pattern, they wake him up in the middle of the night. And again, he's sleeps on the floor.
You can't
completely
even be
naked.
Comfortable. Yeah, this is...
They come in the middle of the night. They wake him up. He thinks he's won. He thinks this is it. Like, oh, why else are you coming in?
Aw.
And they blindfold him and they move him 5 hours away to another apartment with all of the exact same things inside of it. And
That's so
they don't
terrible.
tell him what happened. But what happened is the show was so big that people had found out where this apartment was. And there was a ton of paparazzi and there was a ton of people kind of flocking around it. And so they had to move him. But they moved him into an area with the exact same everything. So like his little, everything looked the same for him. And like you said, I mean, where's your mental state going to be at this point?
My heart's already hurting for him.
Yeah.
Literally. Like I'm just can't even.
And so he, naked, no bed, no clothes, no food.
I mean, how do you even sleep? How are you not cold?
I assume you would be cold. Now, I know it is more common in Japanese culture to sleep on the floor in some.
Not floor, futon.
On the futon.
Yeah.
Which is what exactly?
Well, it's a rollable mat that you put away every day and then you roll it back out. But they're pretty comfy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty dense.
Did we sleep on any when we were there?
Yeah. I
remember freezing in that traditional Japanese house and sleeping on the floor.
We were on futons.
On not the floor, yeah.
Yeah, we were on futons. Mm-hmm. That's a real futon. Like the futons we think of are like little couches.
Yeah. Not bad at all.
This is
more
a true futon.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's where he's at. At one point,
why don't they give this man a bed? Like, I mean, why can't they even do that? I don't get that. Why can't they give him a futon? And he can shower, right?
I mean, he's got a shower, but he has no soap or anything, unless he wins it. He literally has nothing unless he wins it.
I mean, yeah.
So,
okay. My brain just...
I mean, it is torture, literally.
But like public torture.
Public torture.
Yeah.
And there's tons and tons and tons of millions of people who are all in on it, right?
Which is bizarre to me. How are they not thinking the same thing that I'm thinking? Like,
I don't know if they're thinking like, maybe they're thinking the same thing you're thinking as far as like, oh, this can't really be real. Like behind the scenes, there must be.
But if he's live feeding.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's like the zoo camera.
Yeah.
Like they're.
like watching the polar bears.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is crazy. So at one point, he wins a stuffed seal and towel from Awashima Marine Park.
Oh, hey man, that would be cozier than sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, that's true. But the seal literally becomes like Wilson from Castaway.
Oh,
like he walks it around the apartment. He talks to it. When he wins things, he shows it to it and dances with it.
Does he like use it as a pillow? That's what I was thinking. Like I would want to use my seal as my pillow.
That would make sense. Maybe he does. I don't know. But literally, you can see his mental decline live on television.
Terrible.
And yeah. So the first time he ever wins toilet paper, he's in at 10 months.
So he's been...
I don't know.
Well, okay, if you're a boy, you can just tap, right?
Well, sure, for peeing.
Right. So then you just go and then hop in the shower?
That would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
I didn't watch, that detailed.
No, but I mean, this is a real human rights kind of thing. Like you can't publicly...
Yeah, I don't know if the camera was only in...
Obviously, I'm just saying, like, if you can't take care of yourself and clean yourself, you're going to have other issues. So they have to let him do that. Like, I don't know. My brain can't compute all this. It's so weird.
At one point, he wins a toothbrush and toothpaste.
At one point. After he hasn't brushed his teeth in 10 months.
Very, very excited.
That's good.
Yeah.
At least he's excited about that.
Yeah. But it's just weird to think about all the... Like, I'm looking around, we're in this small little room in our house that used to be a closet. And even in here, I look at all the things.
The amenities.
Yeah.
The bed.
I mean, there's a bed. I see a Dogman book from one of our kids. Like, entertainment to some degree. There's a few Legos lying around. Everything that you have is gone.
I mean, it would be terrible.
Everything. It would be terrible. And so again, it comes back to this ethical question: is how much of this was real, and not that what he was experiencing was real. How much of what he was winning was real, versus how much was it the producers
tweaking,
playing God, playing,
right. let's
'Cause-
throw in this and see, because maybe he never even applied for any of these things, but they show up,
Exactly.
but he probably doesn't remember after
Oh.
38,000. Did you say 38,000?
At 6 months. At this point now we're at 10 months.
Oh gosh.
So I mean, we're maybe at 50, 60,000, you know?
I mean, my brain can't even.
We're going to go through a few things that kind of are just, they're cruel,
Okay.
but it's like, there's no way that really would happen unless somebody was tweaking it. For example, one time a delivery guy comes to the door with ramen and he's so ecstatic. And then the guy says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm at the wrong address." And so he leaves. And so he can smell the food. He sees the food. He's thinking he's getting this food. And
I
he gets
am
nothing.
repulsed. Like that's
And could that happen in real life? Sure.
possibly, but your mental psyche, this is what I'm saying, is this is so inhumane. Really.
Totally. Kind of going back to the 5 kilograms of rice he won. Like he won the rice, but he didn't run the rice cooker,
Right.
you know, or have any way of cooking it.
Cooking
Like
it.
it almost seems
Like torture.
yeah,
Yeah. Like you're so close, but yet so far.
right.
Mm-hmm.
The first item of clothing he won, and I believe it's the only item of clothing he won the entire time, was, well, guess what it was?
I would guess like a t-shirt or a sweater, a hoodie.
Yeah, because if it's going to be a sweepstakes, you would assume it'd be something practical like that, right?
Well,
It was-
I mean, why would you even, I guess, again, it's a different culture, but I don't know what other kind of sweepstakes things there are. I mean, what would you, socks?
He won a used pair of panties.
I mean, I guess that's a thing for some people, but seriously,
I'm curious to know what magazine offers a sweepstakes
for you.
for used panties.
Yeah, this is not real. Like the stuff he is winning is not truly sweepstakes stuff. So it's that part is rigged. I mean, him and his experiences, I believe, are real, but all of these things they cannot be real.
One would assume so. But if you're trying to make millions of dollars on a TV show, watching a crazy person who is emaciated trying to put on a pair of panties that is too small for him is probably entertaining.
But I guess I'm a different person. Like that would not be entertaining for me. I would not want to watch that.
I would like to think I wouldn't either, but a lot of people did and made a lot of money.
But again, culturally, like I don't, as people are listening, do they think they would want to watch this? I mean,
Yeah, I don't
really,
know.
it's like a obviously rhetorical question, but
Right. But it's an interesting question.
I mean, yeah.
So that's where he is.
I use a spare panty.
I use a pair of panties, which don't fit. I mean, when I get used panties, I expect them to fit. So
Totally.
early on, kind of going back, he did win a PlayStation game and a specialized remote for the game, but he had no TV and he had no PlayStation. But as time went on, after a few months, he did win a TV, but the TV had no antenna. So it was essentially like a white noise machine.
I mean, that's better than nothing.
But at one point, towards the 10-month mark or whenever, he does win a PlayStation.
Wow.
So now he has a PlayStation, he has a TV, he has a game, and he has a remote. Again, what are the odds that you actually win all of these things? Seems strange to me.
That's
but he wins them all. And he plays his one game. This is the first entertainment he's had. And he plays it for 4 days straight. Literally sits there and plays this PlayStation game. If he's not sleeping, he is playing PlayStation. Wow. For 4 days. To the point that he makes this little sign and he gives himself a PlayStation ban.
A PlayStation what?
Ban.
Ban.
He
Like he
bans himself because when you're playing PlayStation, you know what you're not doing? Filling out sweepstakes.
Oh, right.
And so any form of entertainment he gives himself is just time taken away from potentially earning, if it's not rigged, his prizes.
So where is he at the 10-month mark? Do we know the like financial point that how much he's actually won in the value?
You know, it's funny. I don't know at any point if there's like a running total. Like if you were watching the show, if it said, you know, like, oh, he's at 785,000 yen, you know, or if it was just, and again, and I don't think so, because I don't think the producers wanted it to actually
Ever end?
Right. Like, I think they just wanted to pull the strings as far as, oh, yeah, you're at 1 million now. Or, like, I think as long as
The ratings were high.
they were making money, they were going to keep pushing it.
This is
I don't know that for true
so
or
terrible.
for a fact, but I believe that's what it was. And so he's going, this is his existence, and he does finally get there.
He gets to
his 1 million yen.
1 million?
1 million yen, $10,000.
Yeah. Okay.
335 days. Oh. So
1 day shy of a year. That's not a coincidence.
365.
Oh, 365.
But close.
30.
Yeah. So almost a full year. So 11 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the production team does what they always do when they want to talk to him. They go in the middle of the night. It's pitch black.
Why do they do this to this
I
poor
don't
man?
know, man.
Okay.
And they take a bunch of those stupid little party poppers where they shoot out the ribbons.
Uh-huh.
And they shoot them all off in his face and they wake him up. He's confused as all get up. Like he has no idea what's going on. And they tell him it's over. And it's in the video, it's obvious like he is in total shock. Like, what is happening? Now again, they wake him up, but he's also
like shock in his mental state because he's so,
I think so.
emaciated, like that kind of shock, or shock like he's so excited he can't believe he won.
Probably both.
Okay.
And half asleep.
Right.
But it's sad to watch. Like he's excited once he kind of realizes, but he's like a wounded animal when they first go in there.
I mean, I literally could not watch this. I could not. Me as a person, I'm not judging anyone who would want to or would be curious about this, but I'm not a big. Yeah, I couldn't. This is anyway. Keep going.
It's very different than The Bachelor or Temptation Island or some other reality
the Kardashians.
TV that's here. Yeah,
right. Of course.
not that you watch those either, but
I don't. Yeah, but this would be hard for me to watch. Like if someone said, I need you to watch this, I would not find joy in this or entertainment in this.
that makes sense.
So
11 months. What do you think he won? It's a game show.
I mean, like, I don't know, 1 million yen.
That would be a wonderful thought. So the producers puts on some clothes. They give him back his clothes. And they fly him to South Korea. And they go to an amusement park. And they film it all, and he's eating tons of food.
Why South Korea?
I don't know.
I mean, they have amusement parks in Japan.
Really cool ones.
Yeah. Great ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they fly him there. He rides the rides, he eats tons of food, he talks to people, he gets fresh air. He's very excited. And that's the end of these 11 months.
That's it. He got to go to South Korea to a theme park and eat food. That was his prize?
That was his prize. Other than possibly being famous.
Well,
when he gets home.
Right. I wonder if they went to South Korea. I was thinking about this because he was so popular in Japan that people would, because they're following this story, would know and be trying to find him or would recognize him.
That's a good thought.
Like at the theme park. Like maybe he's really that popular. Maybe did this work in his favor to be famous? Do we know that part of the story?
Well, there's one more twist.
Oh, no. Okay.
So they blindfold him one more time.
Oh, my goodness.
While he's in South Korea.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
And they take the blindfold off. And he's sitting there. And he's in another one-room apartment. Full of magazines. And the producer tells him to strip. And literally the look on his face, like you see just his shoulders drop, his face drop. Like
you watched this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's just got this, like, again, like for reals. And then the producer, he says that this silly game show host, voice. Can someone survive in Korea living on only magazine sweepstakes? And they make him start all over again.
No, they don't.
They do. Now, if you watch the video, which I know you won't, the look on his face is heartbreaking. Like, he cannot imagine doing this again.
I can't even imagine why they are allowed to do this again to him. Like, it's not like they own him.
That is correct. There is, in one of the videos I watched, they did say that from what they had understood, they did give him the option to say, do you want to do this again? And obviously he doesn't, but he says he'll do it because he still thinks this is his giant break, right? I mean,
but does he still think there's money out there, like an actual prize, or does he realize?
I think he's doing it all for a break,
fame.
I mean, I think again going back to an SNL, example, I think he thinks if I do this, I'm going to be the next Adam Sandler or Chris Farley, or you can see how old I am based on the SNL characters I'm choosing. But
right,
this is going to launch him to a lifetime of fame and fortune.
Right.
He has no desire to do it,
obviously,
but
he really is dedicated to this.
To do it, yeah.
Okay.
And so this time, and this will answer your question, why they chose South Korea and not Japan. The goal isn't 1 million whatever
yen
South Korea uses.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
But he has to win enough to buy a plane ticket back to Japan.
Are you kidding me? That's okay.
But he goes insane mode as far as filling out sweepstakes. Like, he goes turbo, super turbo. And he reaches this goal in 2 months.
Wow. He's like an expert sweepstaker.
Yeah, he knows now.
It's a life skill.
I guess.
Which
then makes it also feel like maybe it's not super rigged, because at this point, the producers still don't want to give up their cash cow. And so without telling him, they change it to, you must earn enough money to earn a business class ticket back to Japan.
They change it on him?
So they change it on him, but he doesn't know this. He doesn't know he never knows he wins in the first place, that he's got enough for a ticket.
You just have to trust the people that are producing
and so
this?
So if you are him, you just think you're still going. If you're watching the show, now it has to be a business class ticket.
Oh, this is...
And so he keeps going. He crushes that. They change it on him again. Now it has to be a first class ticket back to Japan.
They really don't want this to stop.
Well, they're making
tons
buku
of
bucks.
Money. This is terrible. All in the name of money? I can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know what else you would say it's in the name of. So 6 months he gets there. And so they do the same routine. They blindfold him. They move him to a new apartment. He thinks, at this point, he's just used to whatever. I mean, he's literally like a prisoner of war.
Yes.
Or like they tell him to do this, he does it. They say,
it's been over
jump how
it's
high.
a year and a half.
Yeah. I mean, he's just, they say, put a blindfold on. He puts a blindfold on. They say, whatever. He does it. So they move him to another one-room apartment. He sits there, but this one's a little different because there's nothing in it. There's like a little table. And as he's sitting there, all 4 walls fall down. So think of it like being in the side of a box.
Right.
And he's sitting there in front of a live studio audience. Naked. And all of these... But it's funny, when they pan the audience, almost all women. But this live studio audience in Korea. Oh, another thing about the Korean sweepstakes to make it even more challenging, he doesn't speak Korean. All these magazines are in Korean. So he has a dictionary to translate from Japanese to Korean. So he has to do that on top of, he doesn't even know what he's filling sweepstakes out for. But so these walls fall down, and there he is sitting in front, naked, shocked. Again, he hasn't seen anyone for a year and a half, except for one day. And again, the look on his face, just utter like
shock,
terror, confusion. What's happening? All these screaming people, just total, psyche messing warfare here.
It's terrible.
And so he's finally over, but they have this one last humiliation for him. And that's it. I don't think he actually wins anything other than his fame and fortune. Or not even fortune, but fame and potential for fortune down the road. But sadly, that never really came for Tomoaki. He had a lot of PTSD. He found that he could not hold conversations with people for very long. He struggled staying engaged with people. And so it really killed any stand-up. Like he couldn't do monologues. He couldn't do that kind of stuff. So he never really got anywhere with comedy. He says he struggled for about 6 months wearing clothes. Like they just were very uncomfortable, very itchy. It just, he didn't know how to wear clothes anymore. He did sell his diary, which was a huge, massive success. So, I mean, in that sense, I think he did make some good money off that.
He kept a diary while he was there?
I don't know if he kept a diary or if it was more like a memoir that he went back and wrote, or he watched his own videos for a year and a half. And then I don't know what the...
Gotcha.
But he wrote a book.
How about that? Okay.
And that was a huge success. He seems to be doing okay now. He started it's funny. He actually started a traveling, I believe, like stage production, like a theater group.
Okay.
And I want to say it's like Eggplant Productions or something, which is kind of funny.
Because of the eggplant.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all like serious drama, like actual stage theater. And in 2016, he climbed Mount Everest.
Wow.
Which is very impressive.
That is extremely impressive.
So, I mean, he seems, if you talk to him today...
Was he able to ever have interpersonal relationships? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if he's single, married.
Right. I just wonder what that being solo and in that weird place for so long would do to you for... I mean, he seems to be doing fine, but what did that really do to him?
Totally.
Yeah. Gosh, the human race is weird.
It is a weird, weird thing.
Strange species.
It is the strangest.
The strangest of species.
So, so that's Tomoaki Hamastu. And the show
was Susume, and then I can't remember the next part.
What does Susume mean?
It feels familiar to me, but it's been a long time since I've been there. And I don't know for sure, but what's the second part of it?
The second part of the show is Denpa Shonen.
Denpa Shonen.
And really, the show didn't really run much longer after that. It kind of was the end of it. The producer of the show has since apologized, I believe, to Tomoaki, but has also been very defiant in the fact that he says his job is to make magic on screen or something like that. And that's what the show did. And he would do it again kind of thing, like definitely doesn't seem to feel any remorse for it. But, it's fascinating. Are you looking up Susume?
Well, according to the translation, there's two possible meanings. And if I knew what the second meaning of the title was, it might make sense as to which one it is, but there's recommendation or suggestion. Both nouns. So, Susume, it just feels like a familiar word, but I don't know the next part, so I don't know which one seems appropriate, but I don't know. I just can't imagine that they would be allowed to do that. I mean, like Naked and Afraid or whatever, but we all truly know that there's camera crews and it's not a live feed. So that's the part I'm like, how do you live feed that for someone? They need to have privacy, and I don't know. You just know that that's not happening. And the mental warfare, maybe like Alone, maybe there is, you see those people, they do go through, starvation and I don't know, but
but not for a year and a half.
This is so different. This is what I'm saying. Like I'm trying to kind of find anything comparative, and I'm at a loss. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I first heard the story, I was like blown away. Like that's not real. I mean, it is real, but
I just feel like it's rigged on the part of what he received from the sweepstakes. 100%. I feel like that part can't be.
I'm with you.
I mean, nobody wants used panties. I mean,
I'm sure there's a huge market for used panties out there, but
not in a sweepstakes, right? Like that's
right.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I mean,
I wonder if he still has a seal.
I'm sure he's traumatized by that seal. I really can't imagine him.
It's his longest relationship he's had is with that seal.
I just bet having that towel made all the difference for his sleep, if you can imagine.
Yeah. I mean, when they go in and wake him up at the end, in quotations, because it ends up being 2/3 of the way through, not the actual end. I mean, he's still buck naked, sleeping on the floor.
Like he didn't use the towel?
I feel like he had a pillow. Maybe it was the towel. He had his head on something. Definitely no blankets or anything.
I can't even imagine how you can sleep comfortably.
I can't imagine you do sleep comfortably. I mean, I don't know what part of Japan they were in. When we went, when I went with you, it was in January, and it was, frigidly cold.
I think...
Not that it was like
humid.
snowy
it's like cold
and stuff,
to the
but
bone.
yes,
it's a very different kind of feel.
I mean, my hoodies and stuff did nothing.
Right, for that kind of
cold.
Well, and they don't build their homes insulated like we do and stuff like that. So they're much more susceptible, even though the temperatures don't change near as much susceptible to those cold, humid airs.
Like when we stayed, so Ethne has what we call endearingly her Japanese mom and dad, and they have multiple homes on the same property. They have a modern Japanese home, and they have a traditional Japanese home, and they have a haunted Japanese home. Is that correct?
I don't know if it's haunted.
I feel like that was the vibe.
I don't think it does. I don't really know why you would need 3, but yes, one was we really only used 2. Maybe it's because the other one was haunted. I don't know. Yeah,
that's why.
But yeah, modern and traditional.
So they live in the modern home. They let us stay in the traditional home.
And Papa, Shigeru, grew up in the traditional home.
Right.
Yeah.
The traditional home was like living inside of a freezer.
No, it really wasn't.
It really was. Like when I got up at night to go pee, it was a nightmare.
So there's no central heating, right?
Or heating of any kind.
Well, no, because in our one room, the tatami mat room, there is a heater, and so yes, when you go to the bathroom, it is freezing because they don't heat. It's not central heated. So, but that's, again, goes to show you how mild overall the temperatures are where we lived. But if you can think about it, you don't have central heating your whole ever. So that's actually pretty mild.
Paper walls definitely do not retain heat.
This is a true statement. But if in our homes, if we did not have central heating, it wouldn't work. We would freeze. Like the pipes would freeze, right?
Right.
Not all the time, but there will be several occasions. So at least the temperatures are mild enough there that they don't even need central heating. I guess maybe they could use it. And Papa's modern house had central heating. Yeah.
Right. So.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's a fascinating story.
Yeah, it's kind of a terrible story, but I'm kind of a softie. I don't like that kind of stuff. And I can't even imagine being entertained by that. But
well, I'm going to guess that the vast majority of our stories you're going to not love.
What?
But not bad.
No.
Just
it reiterates the weirdness of the human race.
Exactly.
So I guess maybe that's what we're going for, right?
That is correct.
All right.
Well, speaking of that, we will go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. Go ahead and leave comments, suggestions, thoughts in the comments. If you have any other, questions or whatever.
Or topics, even suggestions. Or
that is correct.
Things to look up so we could talk about them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any kind of strange things that us humans do. And we will get back with you again next week. All right. Have a great night, everybody.
Signing off. Bye.